Let's go Browns! What if I told you that the most important move the Cleveland Browns made this offseason wasn't a draft pick, wasn't a trade, and didn't even involve the quarterback position? What if the decision that could define the next era of Browns football happened quietly, behind closed doors, and most fans haven't yet realized its true importance? Because make no mistake, hiring Mike Ruttenberg as defensive coordinator isn't just another coaching staff update scrolling at the bottom of your screen. This is a power shift. It's a culture test, and it's a gamble that could keep this defense among the NFL elite, or force the team to start the season faster than anyone expects. You don't replace a coach like Jim Schwartz without consequences. You don't walk into a locker room led by Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward and simply assume everything will be fine. And you definitely don't hand one of the league's most respected defensive units over to a rookie coordinator unless you truly believe you found something special. So, the real question is, what did Todd Monken see in Mike Ruttenberg that made him act so quickly? Let's analyze what this signing really means, how it impacts the historic pursuit of Myles Garrett, what it reveals about the Browns' rebuilding process, and why this decision may be much more strategic than it seems at first glance. Before we begin, if you're a diehard Cleveland Browns fan, click the like button and leave your opinion in the comments and tell me, do you trust this signing? Right, I trust or I don't trust. Let's get straight to the point. Mike Ruttenberg is officially the new defensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns, and this move says a lot about where this franchise is headed next. The decision came together quickly after he spent a full day on Sunday with head coach Todd Monken, and from everything gathered, that meeting sealed it. Despite being the only finalist without previous coordinator experience, Ruttenberg emerged as the choice over Jason Tarver and Corey Unlin. That alone tells you how strongly Monken feels about the direction of this defense. Ruttenberg brings 16 years of NFL experience, most recently serving as the Falcons' passing game coordinator. He has worked under respected defensive minds like DeMeco Ryans and Robert Saleh, and that background matters. He understands the 4-3 attacking philosophy that has defined this Browns defense in recent years. This is not a reset. This is not a shift to a 3-4. It is not a philosophical overhaul. The expectation is a seamless transition built on the same aggressive, see-ball-get-ball mentality that allowed this unit to thrive. Still, let's be honest, there are big shoes to fill. The departure of Jim Schwartz hit this locker room hard. Under Schwartz, Myles Garrett captured 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards and set the NFL sack record last season. Garrett is chasing history, with his eyes set on becoming the league's all-time sack leader. For that to happen, the system around him must continue to unleash him off the edge. That will be Ruttenberg's first and most important assignment, maximize Myles Garrett from day one. The good news for Browns fans is that Ruttenberg is not walking into chaos. The entire defensive staff remains intact. Jacques Cesaire continues with the defensive line. Jason Tarver stays on to coach linebackers despite being a finalist for the coordinator job. Ephraim Bonda remains with the safeties, and Brandon Lynch continues working with the corners. That continuity cannot be overstated. Veteran leaders like Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward will still have trusted voices around them. That stability should help build trust quickly between the players and their new coordinator. And trust will be key. This defense is loaded with established talent. Garrett, Ward, Carson Schweissinger, the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, Brett Delpit, Tyson Campbell. These players believed in Schwartz. Ruttenberg will need to earn that same buy-in. But at 41 years old, with extensive experience as a linebackers and defensive backs coach, he has spent his career in the trenches of player development. That background suggests he understands how to communicate, how to connect, and how to tailor his approach to individual strengths. From a schematic standpoint, expect familiarity. The Browns finished near the top of the league in sacks with 53. That pressure-heavy identity should continue. The defensive front will still attack. The coverage behind it will still rely on disguises, man concepts, and disciplined execution. There may be subtle tweaks in the secondary, perhaps some adjustments designed to counter offenses that found ways to exploit certain tendencies late last season. But philosophically, this remains an aggressive defense built to rush the passer and challenge receivers at the line. Another factor to consider is the leadership structure. With Todd Monken now firmly in control after overhauling the offensive staff and hiring a new special teams coordinator in Bubba Ventrone, he now has his hand-picked leader on defense as well. That alignment could eliminate any potential tension and clarify the pecking order. It ensures the vision for this team flows from one voice at the top. All of this unfolds as the Browns head toward the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, where roster questions will intensify. One name to watch is Martin Emerson Jr. coming off a ruptured Achilles suffered in training camp. His future remains uncertain. Cornerbacks of his caliber are difficult to replace, but Achilles recoveries often require a full additional year before a player truly returns to form. With Tyson Campbell under contract and playing well after his arrival, the math has changed. The Browns must weigh loyalty to a young draft pick against financial flexibility during a rebuild. And make no mistake, this organization is not shying away from the word rebuild. That reality also shapes how they approach the draft. Holding the 6th overall pick presents options. If a quarterback-needy team falls in love with a prospect like Ty Simpson or Caleb Downs and wants to move up, trading back could allow Cleveland to stockpile assets. That strategy fits Andrew Berry's analytical approach. But if their guy is there at 6, whether it's a top offensive lineman or a difference-making receiver, they may stand firm. But here's where it gets even more interesting for Browns fans. This hire is not happening in a vacuum. It's happening at a time when the organization is reshaping its identity. Todd Monken has already overhauled the offensive side of the ball. He brought in his own vision. He brought in his own staff. And now, with Mike Ruttenberg, he has aligned the defense under his leadership as well. That matters more than people realize. When Monken met face-to-face with Jim Schwartz, there was genuine belief they could work together. They are similar in age, similar in pedigree, and both were finalists for NFL Assistant Coach of the Year in 2023, with Schwartz winning the award. This was not about pushing Schwartz out. It was about alignment. Once Schwartz moved on, Monken needed someone who would fully buy into his structure, someone who understood the hierarchy from day one. Ruttenberg understands that. He knows the pecking order. He knows this is Monken's team. And inside that locker room, that clarity could be critical. Let's go back to Myles Garrett for a moment because everything on this defense still runs through him. Under Schwartz, Garrett was unleashed in a system designed to maximize his explosiveness. He won Defensive Player of the Year twice in 3 seasons. He shattered expectations. He elevated the entire defensive front. Now, Ruttenberg's job is not to reinvent Myles Garrett. It's to protect what's already working. The assignment is simple in theory. Keep him attacking, keep him disruptive, keep him chasing quarterbacks. But the ripple effect goes beyond Garrett. Denzel Ward remains one of the premier corners in football. Tyson Campbell proved after arriving that he can thrive in this scheme even without a full offseason. Grant Delpit has shown flashes when used correctly. Carson Schwiesinger's Rookie of the Year campaign established him as a foundational piece. These are not developmental players. These are established impact contributors. The challenge for Ruttenberg is maintaining elite production while potentially smoothing out some of the inconsistencies that surfaced at times last season. Because let's be honest, as dominant as this defense has been, there were moments when certain offensive systems found answers. There were games where the rigidity of what we do is what we do became a talking point. If Ruttenberg could preserve the aggression while introducing subtle adaptability, that's where this hire could truly pay off. And don't overlook his background coaching both linebackers and defensive backs. That matters. Coordinators who rise strictly from one position group sometimes lean heavily in that direction. Ruttenberg's experience across levels of the defense could help better marry the rush and the coverage. When the front four gets home, everything looks great. But when the rush is slowed, the back end must hold up. That synergy will define whether this defense remains top tier or merely good. Now zooming out to the broader roster picture, the upcoming combine looms large. Andrew Berry and the front office have decisions to make that extend far beyond the defensive coordinator hire. Martin Emerson Jr.'s Achilles recovery is a real variable. Achilles injuries are notoriously difficult, and even when players return, it often takes another year before they truly look like themselves. With Tyson Campbell under contract and playing at a high level, the Browns have some flexibility. But quality cornerbacks are never easy to replace, and Berry historically does not give up easily on his draft investments. Financially, the Browns are navigating tight waters. Rebuilding mode has been acknowledged. That shifts strategy. It makes draft capital more valuable than ever. Holding the 6th overall pick puts Cleveland in an intriguing position. If quarterback-hungry teams start climbing the board, that phone could ring. Moving down could yield additional picks, maybe even future first-round capital in what is projected to be a stronger quarterback class next year. That is the type of long-term thinking that aligns with Berry's analytics-driven approach. But there's also risk. Trading down only works if you stay within range of impact talent. Last year, when Cleveland maneuvered the board, they were careful not to fall out of what they considered an elite tier. That discipline will matter again. Whether it's a franchise tackle, a dynamic wide receiver, or a defensive playmaker, the Browns cannot afford to miss on this selection. All of this circles back to one central theme: alignment and patience. Monken has his staff. Ruttenberg